This is The Raid, exposing the dark world of America's deportation machine. I'm your host, John Carlos Frey. Hello, everybody. These are three stories that you may not have heard of for the week of November 17th. I know that sometimes I'm going to bring you bad news and things that maybe some of us don't even want to hear, but the times that we're in, we really do have to pay attention, and I'm going to do my best to bring you those kinds of stories. This is one of those stories. This is from Newsweek. A Chinese immigrant was found dead in a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement detention facility with his hands and his feet tied behind him. Chao Fang Ji died 4 days after entering ICE custody in Pennsylvania on August 5th, with an agency report stating that he was found by agents with a cloth ligature around his neck. After an autopsy report, his family is calling for more answers from the Department of Homeland Security. The reason that we're hearing about something that happened a couple of months ago is because ICE is required to issue reports on all deaths within its custody, including G's death. And this report was recently made public. The report states that he was assessed with help of a Mandarin interpreter on August 1st. 4 days later, on August 5th, around 5:20 a.m., officers say that they found him in a shower stall with a cloth around his neck. Despite getting him onto the ground and attempting life-saving measures, including CPR, Ji was pronounced dead roughly 40 minutes later. ICE detention facilities are not known for providing mental health care. They're not known even for providing basic medical care. It is a boondoggle. These are for-profit organizations that seem to cut corners when it comes to medical treatment and mental health services. I'm not suggesting that's why this person committed suicide, but the record of people in detention is deplorable, and people are dying at a much higher rate. This is what his brother has said. He did not deserve to be treated that way. I want justice for my brother. Answers as to how this could have happened, accountability for, and who's responsible for his death. As detention numbers have spiked within the ICE facilities under the Trump administration, deaths have also begun to rise. Advocacy groups and attorneys have repeatedly warned that ICE detention conditions are poor, but DHS has said otherwise. This is the whole problem. The oversight, the accountability, the transparency. Most individuals, outside resources are not allowed in to take a look. There's overcrowding. There's poor service. Food is deplorable. Sanitation is deplorable. As I've said, healthcare, mental health care, all of those issues are going on, and we are detaining immigrants by the tens of thousands. G, 32, arrived in the U.S. By crossing the U.S.-Mexico border near Tecate, California on November 22nd, 2023, and was arrested by Border Patrol for that unlawful entry. An autopsy report showed G was found tied with a bedsheet with linens around his wrists and ankles in what was reported to be a hog-tie position. I know this is difficult. It's very difficult to read myself. The medical examiner noted that there had been other reported incidents of people who had hung themselves having done something similar, and there were no obvious defense wounds. I don't think that there's much more to say about that. I'm not suggesting that the conditions within the detention facility were the cause here, but I can guarantee you that people are not being provided with the kind of care that the government is responsible for. Here's another story that we're not hearing about, or at least not on a national level, which may have implications for us all. This is a story from Cal Matters, which is a local California newspaper. From Cal Matters. In October, an immigrant truck driver, who federal authorities allege does not have legal status, killed 3 people in an Ontario car crash. In a letter sent last week, the U.S. Transportation Department's Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration claimed the collision may have been avoided if California had complied with new federal rules, the rules that could also lead to 61,000 truck drivers in California losing their licenses. So just take it on face value that the federal government is saying that this particular car crash could have been avoided if this person who was involved in the car crash, where tragically 3 people lost their lives, may have been prevented if this individual had legal status or was not undocumented. There's no evidence to prove that is the case. Before Trump was reelected, non-citizen immigrants, such as refugees and asylum seekers, were allowed by the federal government to carry trucking licenses. More than 720,000 trucking licenses are active in California, with about 61,000, or 8%, belonging to non-citizen immigrants. But in September, U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy issued new regulations prohibiting certain immigrants from holding commercial trucking licenses and singled out California in the process. After claiming that the Transportation Department conducted a nationwide audit of trucking policies, Duffy threatened to withhold $160 million, or roughly 4% of the state's federal highway safety funds, from California due to alleged violation. Now, just stay with me for a second here. The emphasis here is alleged violations. Duffy, in a September statement, said, "California's reckless disregard is frankly disgusting and an affront to the millions of Americans who expect us to keep them safe." This is from an official within the administration. He likes to use the word disgusting. Duffy, in that same statement, argued that issuing licenses to dangerous foreign drivers threatens the safety of every family on the road. Yet, in publishing the new regulations, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration also acknowledged that there's no evidence to prove that certain kinds of immigrants drive more dangerously than others. That's what the Transportation Secretary is stating, that certain types of immigrants are more dangerous on the road than others, yet there is no evidence, and the government's going to withhold money from California because they're allowing, we're not sure which ones, but certain kinds of immigrants to continue to drive. Okay, here we go even more. The Transportation Department also said it won't award that state, California, $40 million from a separate federal grant because it claims that California is failing to enforce English language proficiency guidelines for truck drivers. Here's the repercussion of all of this. Going after immigrants without very much evidence of which kinds of immigrants or where they're from or whether they're good drivers or not good drivers, all of this is up in the air. If California rescinded the trucking licenses from all of its non-citizens, the sudden drop in truckers could result in increased shipping costs. Of course, California's trucking industry could also take a hit. Despite the explosive growth of online retailers in the last decade, which has helped expand the trucking industry, trucking companies still struggle to retain workers who are willing to work the long hours and receive the low pay at those entry-level positions. This isn't just about detaining people. This is also about breaking California's economy, it would appear. Here is the third story that you may not have heard about for the week of November 17th, and this comes from The Atlantic. Every state is a Border Patrol state far from the southern border, and agents are leading raids on U.S. cities. Just so you know, U.S. Border Patrol traditionally would only patrol the borders with Mexico and Canada, and now they're in the interior, and these are the rough agents that we're seeing. These are the people who are pulling people out of cars and are roughing them up as they're being apprehended. This is what this article is about. The Border Patrol commander, Gregory Bovino, posted a video over the weekend showing a pep talk that he'd given in Chicago to agents operating far from their usual stations along the Mexico border. Set to a rock anthem by the band Chicago, it was the kind of swaggering, trollish clip that has made him the star of the Trump administration's mass deportation campaign. If you haven't seen Bovino, look up his name. He's that rogue agent. Here's what he said, and pardon my language. "This is our fucking country," Bovino told the agents gathered around him in a parking lot. "Nobody tells us where to go, when to go, and how to go in our fucking country." You have law enforcement now prepping to apprehend people, undocumented or otherwise, sometimes U.S. citizens, and you have the leader of a paramilitary force armed to the teeth saying nobody is telling us where to go, when to go, how to go. That's the attitude here. We go on. That same weekend, they hit the streets of Charlotte. As we know now, they are in North Carolina, raiding Home Depot parking lots and notching about 130 arrests, says the article from The Atlantic. Bovino called the operation Charlotte's Web. What are these descriptive terms? The Department of Homeland Security has launched a series of immigration enforcement campaigns this year, including, here are their favorite names, Operation Patriot in Massachusetts, Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago, and Operation Charlotte's Web in Charlotte, North Carolina, which began, as I said, this past weekend. These efforts surge federal officials from multiple offices, including Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is ICE, the Border Patrol, as well as drug and firearms agencies, to increase detentions and deportations of people living in the United States without authorization. Border Patrol officials are expected to take over top jobs at several ICE field offices, according to multiple news reports and an association of ICE officers. Gregory Bovino, a senior Border Patrol leader, left his post in California earlier this year to lead these operations in Chicago and is now in Charlotte. These shifts could portend more aggressive public campaigns to come. Be prepped, folks, because starting in January, CBP and ICE and other federal agencies are going to start to receive some of the $170 billion that Congress appropriated for them. You will see more Border Patrol and more ICE agents on the streets, and these missions, as they're calling them, are going to expand. I apologize that this is the news for November 17th, but I need to keep you informed, and we need to keep holding the government to account. The only way we can do that is with facts and the truth. Thank you for listening to The Raid, available wherever you get your podcasts. For more information about our guests and the subjects we cover, please visit our website at theraidpodcast.org.